My MIL is being super weird and creepy with my son. My MIL is one of those toxic boy moms. Pretty self-explanatory. She has 5 children, 4 girls and 1 boy. Guess who is, and always will be, her all-time favorite child? My husband. All 4 of his sisters have said as much. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I am currently 22 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. I told my husband when we found out that I had a bad feeling his mom was going to be creepy and possessive over him. Surprise, surprise, I was right. She keeps referring to him as our baby boy, and she's insisting that she be at the hospital when he's born. She didn't give a damn about being at the hospital when our daughter was born, and she never once called her our baby when I was pregnant with her. She also calls him beautiful frequently, which might sound sweet, but it's creepy the way she says it, and obsesses over him in comparison to my daughter. She keeps saying how much she can't wait to snuggle him and spoil him, which again, she never did with my daughter. I honestly don't want her anywhere near him. The pattern started the moment we announced the gender. My mother-in-law's entire demeanor shifted. Where she had been politely interested in my first pregnancy, now she was calling every few days, asking about our little prince. Not my little prince, not our family's baby boy, our little prince, like she was somehow a parent in this equation. During my pregnancy with my daughter, she would ask the standard questions. How are you feeling? When's your due date? Basic grandmother-to-be stuff. But with this pregnancy, she wants to know everything. She asks about every doctor's appointment. She wants to know what the ultrasounds show. She asked if she could come to one of my appointments to see our beautiful boy. The word beautiful comes up constantly. She doesn't say cute or handsome or sweet like most grandmothers would. It's always beautiful. How's our beautiful boy today? I can't wait to meet our beautiful boy. I've been dreaming about our beautiful boy. There's something in her voice when she says it that makes my skin crawl. It's the same tone she uses when she talks about my husband when he was little. My husband has always been her golden child. His sisters have told me stories about how different their childhood was compared to his. While they had chores and responsibilities and got in trouble for normal kid things, he could do no wrong. When he broke something, it was an accident. When they broke something, they were careless and irresponsible. When he struggled in school, he needed extra help and support. When they struggled, they weren't trying hard enough. Even now as adults, the favoritism continues. She remembers every detail about his life, but forgets his sister's birthdays. She keeps baby pictures of him in her wallet, but has none of his sisters. At family gatherings, she hangs on his every word, while barely acknowledging when his sisters speak. So when I got pregnant the first time with my daughter, I wasn't expecting much attention from her, and I was right. She was pleasant enough, but distant. She didn't offer to throw me a baby shower. She didn't buy much for the nursery. She visited in the hospital after my daughter was born, but didn't stay long, and didn't ask to hold her much. She sends birthday cards and Christmas presents, but they're always generic. The kind of gifts you'd buy for any 2-year-old girl, not something chosen specifically for your granddaughter. But this pregnancy has brought out a completely different person. She's already bought more things for this baby than she ever did for my daughter. She's talking about throwing me a baby shower, something she never mentioned the first time around. She's making plans for how she's going to help after the baby is born, which would be great if I actually wanted her help. The hospital situation is where things get really uncomfortable. When I was in labor with my daughter, my husband mentioned to his family that we were at the hospital. His mom said she'd wait to hear when the baby was born and visit the next day. Fine by me. I was exhausted and just wanted to recover with my new baby and my husband. But now she's insisting she needs to be there during labor. Not just that she wants to visit after the baby is born, she wants to be there while I'm giving birth. She's talked about how she needs to be one of the first people to hold our beautiful boy. She's asked my husband multiple times if he's told her the right hospital and if we'll call her as soon as I go into labor so she can rush over. I told my husband absolutely not. I don't want anyone in that delivery room except him and the medical staff. I don't want visitors until we're ready. But he's having trouble setting boundaries with her because he's so used to just going along with whatever she wants. The possessiveness is getting worse as my pregnancy progresses. She started talking about how she's going to teach him to play baseball like she did with my husband, how she's going to take him on special trips, just the two of them when he's older, how he's going to be her little buddy. She talks about their future relationship like I'm just the vessel that's bringing him into the world, so she can have another golden child to obsess over. What really bothers me is how differently she treats the idea of this baby compared to how she treats my daughter. My daughter is right there when she's going on and on about how special this baby boy is going to be. My daughter doesn't understand yet, but she will. How is it going to feel to grow up knowing that grandma has a clear favorite? That no matter what she does or achieves, her little brother will always be more important, just because he's a boy? My husband tries to downplay it. He says that's just how his mom is, that she gets excited about babies. But she didn't get excited about our first baby. She gets excited about boy babies. There's a difference. He's so used to being the center of her universe that he doesn't see how unhealthy and weird her behavior is. His sisters see it, though. They've started making comments about how history is repeating itself, how mom is already planning to have another golden child to dote on. They feel bad for my daughter because they know exactly what it's like to be the less favored grandchild. They've warned me that it's only going to get worse once the baby is actually born. I've tried to set some boundaries, but my mother-in-law either ignores them or finds ways around them. When I told her she couldn't just drop by unannounced after the baby is born, she started asking my husband for our schedule so she'd know the best times to visit. When I said I didn't want a lot of visitors at the hospital, she asked if she could at least be in the waiting room during labor. Everything becomes a negotiation with her. The worst part is that she's starting to act like this baby belongs to her as much as he belongs to me and my husband. She talks about him like she has parental rights. She makes plans for him without asking us. She's already decided which room in her house will be his room for when he stays over. He's not even born yet, and she's planning sleepovers. I keep imagining what it's going to be like once he's actually here. Is she going to expect to be involved in every decision about him? Is she going to undermine my parenting the way she probably did with my husband when he was growing up? Is she going to try to convince my son that she's the most important woman in his life? The thought of her holding my newborn son and calling him our beautiful boy makes me physically uncomfortable. The thought of her trying to insert herself into those precious early bonding moments makes me want to keep her away entirely. But I know that's going to cause a huge family drama that my husband isn't ready to handle. I can already see how this is going to play out. She's going to want to babysit constantly, but only him, not my daughter. She's going to buy him more expensive gifts. She's going to remember every detail about his life while continuing to be distant with my daughter. She's going to create the same toxic dynamic that messed up my husband and his sisters. My husband doesn't understand why this bothers me so much. He thinks I should be happy that his mom is excited about the baby. But there's a difference between healthy excitement and whatever this is. Healthy excitement doesn't involve completely ignoring one grandchild while obsessing over another. Healthy excitement doesn't involve a grandmother talking about a baby like he belongs to her. Not just the normal anxiety about giving birth, but anxiety about having to deal with her boundary-pushing and possessive behavior during what should be one of the most special moments of my life. I'm worried she's going to try to take over. I'm worried she's going to make everything about her and her relationship with this baby, instead of about our family welcoming a new member. The more I think about it, the more I realize that I don't want her anywhere near him, at least not until I've had time to establish my own bond with my son and set some firm boundaries. But I know that's going to be seen as cruel and unreasonable. I know my husband is going to be caught in the middle. I know she's going to play the victim and act like I'm keeping her from her grandson. But maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe someone needs to protect this little boy from becoming the next generation's golden child in her toxic family dynamic. Maybe someone needs to protect my daughter from watching her grandmother obviously favor her brother over her. Maybe that someone has to be me, even if it makes me the villain in my mother-in-law's story. Because at the end of the day, these are my children, not hers, not ours, mine and my husband's. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let her mess up their childhood the way she messed up my husband and his sisters. MIL denied kissing baby after being shown video proof. Just wanting to vent? or maybe looking for someone who is experiencing a similar issue? For context, my MIL watches my baby up to 80 hours a month right now. This can't change in the near future. My MIL was told not to kiss my baby when I was pregnant. When he was a few months old, she kissed him on the head in front of my FIL, husband, and I. She said she didn't even know she did it. MIL denied kissing baby after being shown video proof, just wanting to vent, or maybe looking for someone who is experiencing a similar issue. For context, my MIL watches my baby up to 80 hours a month right now. This can't change in the near future. My MIL was told not to kiss my baby when I was pregnant. This wasn't some casual suggestion either. It was a clear boundary we set, before our child was even born. But boundaries only work if people respect them. When he was a few months old, she kissed him on the head in front of my FIL, husband, and I. Right there, with all of us watching. She said she didn't even know she did it. Like kissing someone's baby is just some unconscious reflex she couldn't control. We let it slide. Maybe we shouldn't have, but we did. We figured she understood now. We figured seeing our reaction would be enough. Then she did it again right in front of my face, maybe another month later. Another kiss, another boundary crossed. She again said she didn't mean to. The same excuse, the same innocent confusion about something she'd been explicitly told not to do. 2 incidents, 2 excuses, 2 times she claimed she just forgot or didn't realize what she was doing. Husband and I withdrew from FIL and MIL after the second time. We pulled back, started limiting contact, stopped the casual visits and family dinners. When someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries about your child, distance becomes necessary. After a few months, we had a big fight with MIL, and the 4 of us had a big sit-down chat. One of those tense family meetings where everyone's trying to be civil, but the air is thick with resentment. We expressed exactly why we have withdrawn. We laid it all out. The disrespect, the boundary violations, the feeling that our rules for our own child didn't matter to her. One of those reasons was the kissing. We brought it up directly. No dancing around the subject. No trying to spare feelings. She wouldn't say she would never do it again. Think about that. When confronted with clear evidence that her actions had damaged our relationship, she still couldn't commit to stopping. But she said she would try not to do it again. Try. Like it was some impossible challenge, instead of simply keeping her lips away from our baby. That was November. Months passed. Things seemed calmer. We started to believe maybe the conversation had worked. Maybe she finally understood how serious we were. Maybe she would actually respect what we'd asked. 2 days ago, I caught her kissing my baby multiple times on the camera in his room. Multiple times. Not once. Not a slip-up. Multiple deliberate kisses while she thought no one was watching. The camera we'd installed caught everything in clear detail. I confronted her about it. Walked right up and asked her about what I'd seen. She denied it instantly. No hesitation, no embarrassment, just flat denial, like I hadn't seen exactly what had happened with my own eyes. I ended up showing her the clear as day footage, right there on the screen. Her face, our baby, multiple kisses, undeniable video evidence of exactly what she'd done. No room for interpretation, no way to claim it was something else. She said, "Wow, that definitely looks like what I did, but I didn't do it. I have no memory of that." She was looking at herself on camera, watching herself kiss our baby repeatedly. But somehow it wasn't her. Somehow she had no memory of actions she could literally see herself performing. She even went on to suggest she should see a doctor, because she does not remember kissing baby 5 times that day. 5 times. 5 separate kisses she claimed to have no memory of. 5 boundary violations she was trying to explain away with sudden mysterious memory loss. She does not have Alzheimer's, and she is in her 60s. She's sharp as a tack about everything else. Her memory works perfectly fine when it comes to things she wants to remember. But somehow, kissing our baby just slips right out of her mind. Has anyone else dealt with a person like this? Someone who develops convenient amnesia only when confronted with their own bad behavior? Someone who can remember decades-old details, but forgets explicit instructions about your child? She can't remember not to kiss a baby, but remembers every memory of her dear boyfriend from 40 years ago, every opportunity she gets. No, not my FIL, some other man from decades past. She can recall conversations, dates, little moments from 40 years ago with perfect clarity. She brings up these memories constantly, goes into elaborate detail about things that happened before some of us were even born. But ask her to remember one simple rule about not kissing our baby. Suddenly, her memory becomes Swiss cheese. Suddenly, she's a victim of her own forgetfulness instead of someone who chose to ignore what we asked. The video doesn't lie. It shows her looking around before she does it. Shows her making sure no one's watching. Shows her being deliberate and careful about when she chooses to break our rule. That's not the behavior of someone who forgot. That's the behavior of someone who decided our boundaries didn't matter when we weren't there to enforce them. She watches our baby 80 hours a month. That's 20 hours a week, nearly 3 hours every single day. We depend on her because we have to, not because we want to. The childcare situation can't change right now. We're stuck trusting someone who's proven she can't be trusted. Every time we leave our baby with her now, we wonder what else she's doing that we haven't caught. What other rules is she breaking when she thinks no one will find out? What other boundaries is she crossing while claiming she just forgot or didn't mean to? The lie is what makes it worse than the original boundary violation. We could have worked with honesty. We could have had another conversation about respect and limits if she just admitted what she did. But instead, she chose to lie to our faces. She chose to deny reality even when confronted with video proof. And then when the denial didn't work, she doubled down with the memory loss story. Like we're supposed to believe she suddenly developed selective amnesia that only affects her ability to remember rules about our child. Like we're supposed to feel sorry for her instead of angry about her choices. She turned herself into the victim, made us the bad guys for confronting her, made it seem like we were attacking some poor confused woman instead of holding someone accountable for repeatedly ignoring our boundaries. That's what people like this do. They flip the script until somehow you're the problem for noticing their behavior. The gaslighting is exhausting. Being told that what you saw didn't happen. Being told that clear video evidence is somehow unreliable. Being made to question your own perception of reality because someone else refuses to take responsibility for their actions. We're back to square one, back to not being able to trust her, back to wondering what she's doing when we're not around, back to having the same fight we thought we'd already resolved, because she decided our rules were suggestions she could ignore when convenient. The relationship feels irreparably damaged now. How do you come back from someone looking at video of themselves and claiming it never happened? How do you rebuild trust with someone who lies even when caught red-handed? How do you co-parent with grandparents who think your boundaries are optional? She's created a situation where we have to monitor her constantly, where every interaction is tainted by suspicion, where we can't relax and enjoy family time because we're always watching to make sure she's following basic rules about our own child. The stress of it affects everything: our marriage, our relationship with File, our ability to enjoy being parents, because one person decided her wants were more important than our clearly stated boundaries about our baby's health and safety. And she still hasn't actually promised to stop. Even caught on camera, even confronted with undeniable proof, she still won't commit to keeping her lips off our child. She'll claim memory problems. She'll suggest medical consultations. She'll do everything except take responsibility and change her behavior. We're trapped. We need her help with childcare, but we can't trust her to follow simple rules. We want our child to know his grandparents, but not at the cost of having our boundaries constantly violated. We're trying to keep the family together while protecting our child from someone who won't respect basic limits. The video evidence should have ended the discussion, should have led to an apology and a commitment to do better. Instead, it led to more lies, more excuses, and more reasons to question whether this relationship can survive. Because trust, once broken this thoroughly, might be impossible to repair. My 29-year-old prenup with my 28-year-old fiance pays her for having children. My 65-year-old parents are telling me to call off the wedding. It's occurred to me that I don't know how to close a post. Really, I just wanted to hear what other married or engaged folks were doing. Thanks for the advice for those who gave it. Really did not think this would get more comments than 5 or 6. Might do an update post later. Because I realized I wasn't very detailed in the post, and there are too many comments to keep up with. But I've put my sister, my mom, my prenup with my fiance pays her for having children. My parents are telling me to call off the wedding. Having an issue right now where my parents are blowing up my phone over the prenup my fiance and I are in the process of finalizing. She and I have been together for 5 years, living together for 3. She's the one, she's my best friend. I couldn't begin to imagine a life without her. I proposed last year, and we've been squaring away the logistics of getting married before we start wedding planning, aiming for fall. We've been working in parallel to finalize a prenup, and we're both feeling good about how it's turning out. My sister had recommended the lawyer I'm working with, and she asked me how it was going. I really regret this in hindsight, but I told her it was going well, that we agree on the division of assets, family planning. She cut me off when I mentioned that. She said, "You can't dictate child support in your prenup." And I tried to clarify, saying it wasn't for child support, but reorganizing asset division and financial payouts towards my fiance if we have kids. I'm seriously face-palming even typing this out, because I should have known not to share that with her. Long story short, she ended up telling my mom. And now both of my parents are blowing up my phone, insinuating or flat-out stating that my fiance is taking advantage of me, and that I have to call off the engagement. I told them I know what I'm doing, and to keep their feedback to themselves, but we'll see if that takes. The point of my post, though, is to ask, what are other couples who plan or anticipate having kids doing with their prenups, if you have one? In ours, as it stands right now, there's a provision that allocates a 6-figure payout per child to my fiance if we have biological children. To be clear, both of us are okay with not having biological kids or kids at all, if that's what we find most comfortable in our marriage. But because we're not solidly child-free and sterilized either, we feel it's prudent to have compensation for pregnancy and birth-related work incorporated into the prenup to cover our bases ahead of time. The way my sister, a mom of 2 herself, reacted and told my parents threw me off guard, so I wanted to check if this was unconventional or if my family was nuts. They are. They are threatening to not come to the wedding at all if this is finalized. After getting overwhelmed by responses, I put my sister, mom, and dad in a chat and politely told them to keep their opinions to themselves. They're free to stay home and watch Sunday Night Football on our wedding day. More drinks for us. We've never been close before. Let's keep it that way if they keep this up. No text response, just 3 dots in a bubble, and then 6 immediate back-to-back phone calls. Blocked. Guess we'll be repurposing those invites. The whole situation started because my fiance and I were trying to be practical about our future together. We'd watched friends go through messy divorces where stay-at-home parents ended up financially devastated. We'd seen women sacrifice their careers for motherhood only to be left with nothing when marriages fell apart. We wanted to acknowledge upfront that pregnancy, childbirth, and early child care represent significant physical, emotional, and professional costs that traditionally fall disproportionately on women. The 6-figure payout per child wasn't some gold-digging scheme. It was our attempt to quantify the career interruption, the physical toll of pregnancy, the recovery time, the potential loss of earning capacity. My fiance has an MBA and works in consulting. She's on track to make partner. If she takes time off to have our children, that's real money lost, real opportunities missed, real career momentum sacrificed. We researched what pregnancy actually costs a woman professionally. The studies are pretty stark. Women's earnings drop significantly after having children, while men's often increase. The motherhood penalty is real and measurable. We wanted to build that reality into our prenup, rather than pretend it doesn't exist. My sister's reaction suggested we were doing something scandalous. But when I really thought about it, what was so wrong about a husband promising to financially support his wife if she bears his children? Isn't that acknowledging that creating life together is valuable work that deserves compensation? My parents' phone calls got increasingly hostile. My dad kept using words like mercenary and transactional. My mom worried about what people would think. They painted my fiancé as some sort of scheming gold digger, which couldn't be further from the truth. She makes excellent money on her own. She doesn't need my money to live comfortably. But having children would change that equation dramatically. The irony wasn't lost on me that my sister, who had experienced pregnancy and childbirth twice, was the most offended by the idea of compensating women for that experience. She'd taken 2 years off work with each kid. She'd struggled to get back to her previous level of responsibility. She'd missed promotions while on maternity leave. Yet somehow, the idea of planning for and compensating those sacrifices struck her as inappropriate. My fiance handled the family drama with more grace than I did. She pointed out that prenups are supposed to address uncomfortable financial realities before they become problems. She wasn't demanding payment for having children. We were both agreeing that if we chose to have children, we wanted the financial arrangements to be fair and predetermined. The more my family pushed back, the more confident I became that we were doing the right thing. Their objections seemed rooted in some outdated notion that women should sacrifice for motherhood out of pure love, without any practical considerations. That expecting financial security in exchange for bearing children was somehow mercenary or unromantic. But there's nothing romantic about financial insecurity. There's nothing loving about leaving your partner vulnerable to poverty if things go wrong. My fiancé deserves to know that if she takes career risks to build our family, she won't be left financially devastated if our marriage doesn't work out. The law we're working with said these kinds of provisions are becoming more common, especially among high-earning couples where both partners have significant career trajectories. It's not about not trusting each other. It's about acknowledging that life is unpredictable and people change. It's about being honest about the costs and risks involved in starting a family. My parents kept asking why we needed a prenup at all if we truly loved each other. They seemed to think that planning for potential problems meant we were expecting problems. But that's like saying people who buy insurance are expecting their houses to burn down. Smart people plan for possibilities they hope never happen. The conversations with my family got uglier as the days went on. My mom started questioning whether my fiancé had somehow manipulated me into these terms. My dad suggested I was being emasculated by agreeing to pay for children. The whole thing revealed attitudes about marriage, money, and gender roles that I hadn't fully understood were lurking in my family. When I tried to explain that the payout wasn't really about money, but about respect and security, they didn't want to hear it. When I pointed out that pregnancy literally changes a woman's body permanently and often affects her earning capacity for years, they dismissed those concerns as material rather than emotional. The breaking point came when my mom suggested that if my fiancé really loved me, she'd be willing to have my children without any financial considerations. That's when I realized we weren't just disagreeing about prenup terms. We were operating from completely different value systems about what marriage should look like and how partners should treat each other. My fiancé never pushed for the payout provision. We developed it together after reading about other couples' experiences and talking through various scenarios. She was actually hesitant about it initially, worried it might seem presumptuous or greedy. I was the one who insisted we include it because I'd seen too many divorced mothers struggling financially while their ex-husbands thrived. The amount we settled on reflects several factors: her current salary trajectory, the statistical likelihood that having children would impact her career advancement, the costs associated with pregnancy and recovery, and frankly, the value I place on the incredible work of creating and raising our potential children. 6 figures per child might sound like a lot, but spread over the years of impact on her earning capacity, it's actually quite reasonable. My sister's involvement in stirring up family drama felt like a betrayal. She knew our family dynamics. She knew how judgmental our parents could be. She had to know that sharing details about our prenup would create problems. Part of me wondered if she was jealous that my fiancé and I were planning more carefully than she and her husband had. The threat to skip our wedding unless we change our prenup revealed how little my parents understood about healthy boundaries. They seemed to think their disapproval should be enough to make us reconsider major life decisions. They couldn't grasp that their approval wasn't a prerequisite for our choices. When I finally put them in that group chat and told them to keep their opinions to themselves, I felt a weird mix of relief and sadness. Relief because the constant phone calls and lectures were exhausting. Sadness because I'd hoped they could be supportive during what should be an exciting time in our lives. The fact that they immediately tried calling 6 times after being told to back off showed how little respect they had for my boundaries. Blocking them felt drastic, but their behavior had become harassment. My fiance and I were trying to build a life together based on mutual respect and practical planning. We didn't need family members undermining that foundation. Repurposing their wedding invites actually felt liberating. We'd been planning around their preferences and opinions more than I'd realized. Without their judgment hanging over our celebration, we could focus on the people who actually supported our relationship and our choices. The whole experience taught me something important about standing up for your partner and your decisions. My fiancée had been nothing but kind and respectful toward my family. She didn't deserve to be characterized as a gold digger or manipulator. She deserved a partner who would defend her against unfair attacks and support the agreements they'd made together. Our prenup isn't perfect, but it's ours. It reflects our values, our concerns, and our commitment to treating each other fairly, even if things go wrong. It acknowledges that having children involves real sacrifices, and that those sacrifices deserve recognition and compensation. It protects both of us, while hopefully never needing to be used. The 6-figure payout per child isn't buying babies or commodifying motherhood. It's acknowledging that creating life is valuable work that comes with significant costs. It's ensuring that if my fiancé chooses to bear our children, she won't be financially penalized for that choice. It's showing respect for her sacrifice and investment in our family's future. My parents' inability to understand or support these choices ultimately revealed the limits of our relationship. They want a son who makes decisions they approve of, not a son who makes thoughtful decisions with his partner. They want a daughter-in-law who conforms to their expectations, not one who negotiates fairly for herself. But my fiancé and I aren't building a marriage to please my parents. We're building a partnership based on honesty, respect, and practical planning for our shared future. If that's too unconventional for my family to accept, that's their loss, not ours. The wedding will be smaller without them, but it will also be more authentic. We'll be surrounded by people who support our choices and celebrate our commitment to each other. We'll start our marriage without the burden of family members who fundamentally disapprove of how we've chosen to protect and respect each other. 3 dots in a bubble and 6 desperate phone calls. That's how 29 years of family relationship ended. Not with understanding or acceptance, but with blocked numbers and repurposed invitations. I saw something concerning on my girlfriend's phone. Hey folks, I've posted a similar story on a couple other subreddits. My girlfriend and I have been together happily for 2.5 years now. We live together in my house, and I feel so lucky and blessed every day to have her in my life. Last night, she was sitting at the kitchen table texting with her sister, who has been going through some health issues lately, and I was in the living room watching a movie. I hadn't heard anything from her in a while, so I went into the kitchen and went up behind her to rub her shoulders and ask how her sister is doing. As I came up behind her, I saw that there was some kind of widget or notification at the top of the screen of her Android phone. I saw the message clearly. It read, "You are so pretty," and those eyes. I was not able to make out what app it was from, but I did notice that the font of the message was noticeably larger than the normal-sized text I could see on the text app she was using to talk to her sister. I just kind of froze, momentarily stunned. She quickly swiped the message away and returned to the text app. I didn't immediately confront her about it, but we spoke for a bit, and I went outside to gather my thoughts and try to come up with some possible explanations for what I saw. When I came back inside the house, she was in the bathroom with her phone, which is not unusual for her. I asked her about it a few minutes later, and she claimed to not know what I was talking about. She claimed that she didn't see the message in question. I felt a bit gaslit. She insisted that nothing fishy had been going on. Her eyes teared up, and she gave me her phone and password, which she had already given me before. She has given me no reason to distrust her in the past. She insisted that I could search her phone, which wouldn't necessarily reveal anything, since messages and apps can be deleted. I started wondering if there was a possible innocuous explanation for what I saw. Was that message definitely directed at her, or could it have been a reply to something else someone posted? I'm not really familiar with the Android phone or social media apps. I lurk on Twitter, but I don't use Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or anything like that. She still insists that it's a mystery to her what that widget was, and that she hasn't been messaging anyone else. But there's a wrinkle. A few weeks ago, her and I were helping her friend move, and her friend had a single guy there helping her. The dude was obviously into the friend, but there were a few moments where she was alone with the dude in the U-Haul moving stuff. When I asked her about the reference to eyes in the message, for some reason she mentioned that the guy friend told her in the moving truck that she had pretty eyes. The exact same phrase that appeared on her phone screen. "You are so pretty, and those eyes." I couldn't really sleep last night, and I have no appetite today. I've been planning to marry this woman and grow old with her. I was going to put her name on my house. I've totally let my guard down with her and let myself become totally vulnerable in her presence. I'm not going to be able to just act normal when I see her after work. Today feels surreal. I gotta be able to explain the observation that I made in a way that fits into my world model. She said she'd give me the phone for a day or even a week. I know that things deleted from a phone can be recovered. Does Android have a search phone option like iPhone, where I could type the phrase I saw and it would show me where it appeared on her phone, assuming she hasn't deleted it? I've never been in this kind of situation before. The timing of everything keeps eating at me. She was supposedly texting her sister about health issues, but that notification came from somewhere else entirely. The font was larger, different from her regular text messages. When I walked up behind her, she had no idea I was there until I saw that message pop up. The way she immediately swiped it away, like muscle memory, like she's done it before, and then claiming she didn't see it at all. How do you not see a notification that pops up right on your screen while you're actively using your phone? The tears seem genuine, but people can cry when they're caught just as easily as when they're falsely accused. The phone and password offer felt like a challenge, like she knew I wouldn't find anything because she'd already cleaned up the evidence. The bathroom trip with her phone right after our conversation. She said it wasn't unusual, and maybe it wasn't, but the timing felt deliberate. How long does it take to delete a conversation thread? How long to log out of an app or clear a chat history? 5 minutes in that bathroom could erase weeks of messages. But it's the connection to the moving guy that really bothers me. She volunteered that information about him complimenting her eyes. I didn't ask her to think of anyone who might have sent something like that. I just mentioned the word eyes from the message, and immediately she brought up this specific guy and this specific compliment. "You have pretty eyes" becomes "You are so pretty, and those eyes." It's too close to be a coincidence. I keep replaying those moments during the move. The friend was obviously interested in this guy, but he was paying attention to my girlfriend instead. I noticed it at the time, but didn't think much of it. Guys notice attractive women. It happens. But now I'm remembering how he kept finding reasons to work near her. How he offered to help her specifically with the heavier boxes. How they ended up in that U-Haul together, just the two of them, multiple times throughout the day. She came out of that truck smiling after one of those tricks. I remember because I was carrying stuff up to the apartment, and when I came back down, she was walking back from the truck with this little smile on her face. I asked her what was funny, and she said he'd made some joke about the friend's furniture. But now I'm wondering if that was when he told her about her eyes. Did she give him her number that day? Did she tell him it was just for coordinating the move plans? These are the questions spinning through my head at work today, while I'm trying to focus on anything else. My coworkers keep asking if I'm feeling okay. I must look as terrible as I feel. 2.5 years of trust, and now I'm analyzing every interaction, every late-night phone session, every time she's been texting her sister. Her sister does have health issues. That part is real. I've met her sister, talked to her, heard about the doctor appointments and treatment plans. But how easy would it be to use that as cover? To say you're checking on your sick sister when you're really talking to someone else. I know iPhones pretty well, but her phone might as well be alien technology to me. Different apps, different notification systems, different ways to hide things. She knows I don't understand how it works. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's why she was confident offering to let me search it. What apps could that message have come from? Instagram direct messages? Facebook Messenger? WhatsApp? Snapchat? Dating apps? Even email notifications. The larger font suggests it might have been from a social media app rather than regular texting. Those apps often display notifications differently, with bigger, bolder text to grab attention. If it was Snapchat, the messages could disappear automatically. If it was Instagram or Facebook, she could have deleted the conversation thread in those few minutes in the bathroom. If it was a dating app, she could have uninstalled it entirely. By the time I got her phone to search, any evidence would be long gone. But phones remember things, even when we try to make them forget. Deleted photos end up in recently deleted folders. Deleted text messages leave traces in backup files. App installations leave digital footprints. The question is whether I have the technical knowledge to find those traces or whether I'd need professional help. The thought of hiring someone to forensically examine my girlfriend's phone feels insane, like something you see in movies about paranoid spouses and messy divorces. But here I am, seriously considering it. Because the alternative is living with this doubt eating away at everything we've built together. She's offering me a week with her phone. A week to go through everything, to satisfy myself that nothing inappropriate is happening. It sounds generous, but it might also be calculated. Give me enough time to exhaust myself searching, to find nothing because there's nothing left to find, and then I'll feel guilty for doubting her. I'll apologize for not trusting her, and we'll move forward with this unresolved tension buried between us. Or maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe Android phones do weird things with notifications that I don't understand. Maybe that message was meant for someone else entirely, forwarded from another conversation, or quoted from a social media post. Maybe her immediate swipe was just coincidental timing, and her bathroom trip was exactly what it appeared to be. But my gut is screaming that something is wrong. After 2.5 years together, I know her patterns, her behaviors, her tells. The way she avoided eye contact when she claimed not to know about the message. The way her voice got slightly higher when she insisted nothing fishy was going on. The way she overcompensated with the tears and the phone offer, like she was trying too hard to prove her innocence. I've never been the jealous type. In past relationships, I was probably too trusting, too willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. I've been cheated on before, and afterward, people told me there were signs I should have seen. Red flags I ignored because I wanted to believe the best about someone I loved. I don't want to make that mistake again, but I also don't want to destroy something good because of paranoia and past trauma. The problem is, I can't tell which situation this is. Am I being appropriately cautious, or am I letting old wounds poison something healthy? The house deed sits in my filing cabinet with just my name on it. I was planning to add hers after we got married. Now I'm grateful I waited. The engagement ring I've been shopping for online seems premature. Everything I thought I knew about our future together feels uncertain. Work is impossible. Every few minutes, my mind drifts back to that moment in the kitchen. The glow of her phone screen, the message in bold letters, the quick swipe to hide it. I keep trying to remember exactly what the notification looked like, what part of the screen it appeared on, any other details that might give me a clue about which app it came from. If I find evidence of inappropriate conversations, our relationship is over. If I find nothing, I'll always wonder whether she was just better at hiding it than I was at finding it. Either way, something fundamental has changed between us. The easy trust is gone, replaced by vigilance and suspicion. She'll be expecting me to act normal when I get home. To kiss her hello, ask about her day, pretend that everything is fine between us. But I can't fake it. She'll see the doubt in my eyes, hear the tension in my voice. We'll have to address this head-on tonight, whether I'm ready or not. The message keeps replaying in my mind. You are so pretty. And those eyes. Such a simple compliment, but it's unraveling everything I thought I knew about my relationship. 7 words that might end 2.5 years of happiness, or might turn out to mean nothing at all. The uncertainty is killing me.